Do you own a Honda lawnmower with the blade stop system? Does it work? If the answer is no, you're in the right spot. Step 1, clean under your deck. Public service announcement, it's time to clean under your deck. Today. So believe it or not, the #1 reason for most of the stuff to fail is just simple maintenance. Years of grass buildup and dirt and debris will cause the self-propelled system not to work, the Roto-Stop system not to work, just overall performance for the lawnmower in general just is poor. So grab a putty knife, grab a shop vac, and start cleaning. Now, believe it or not, in some cases, just a simple cleaning under the deck, and I mean, years and years of buildup will actually make the Roto-Stop system work again. And if that's your case, congratulations. This is the end of your rabbit hole. Step number 2, you have to check the brake wear indicator before you make any repairs to the Roto-Stop system or any adjustments before going further with any other repairs. You must do this. This will rule out a lot of stuff if you can't get this right first. The last thing you want to do is replace everything and find out you got a busted cable. First, you got to engage the blade control. Make sure that's pulled back and tied down. You might need a helping hand, but if you're working by yourself, just find something to hold it down. Next, you're going to want to flip the lawnmower over. Keep in mind that the blade control lever is still engaged. Locate your brake wear indicator, which is right here. Now we're going to measure the clearance between the brake plate indicator and the ball plate indicator. Honda recommends a clearance of about 2 to 3 millimeters. If there's adjustment needed, no problem at all. Just find the end of the cable, loosen your lock nut, and turn the adjuster clockwise to decrease the distance, and turn it counterclockwise to increase the distance. Go ahead and recheck your clearance and tighten down the lock nut. And finally, go ahead and release the lever. Make sure she's free play. And this time we're going to check the clearance on the opposite side. Should be about 2 to 3 millimeters.
Who knew it was a stick?
For the next step, you're going to need a feeler gauge. And we're going to check the clutch wear between the driven disc and the brake plate. So once again, you're going to need to engage the blade control system by pulling the lever down. And to measure the clutch wear, you're going to want to stick your feeler gauge between the driven disc and the brake plate. Honda recommends a clearance about 2 millimeters. Now, if you don't have a feeler gauge or the proper tools to measure the clearance, little pro tip for you, a US dollar coin roughly measures out to about 2 millimeters. And this could help you get in the ballpark. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it's close. All right, so we've adjusted the cable. We've checked the clearance for the brake wear indicator. We also checked the clearance for the clutch spring. We determined everything's in spec. Doesn't look like we have to replace any parts quite yet. So now we can go ahead and tear it down and take a closer look at the internal parts. So really quickly, we're just going to inspect the major wear items. The most common things that you're going to see go wrong with the Roto-Stop system. We're going to start off with the drive disc, clutch spring, driven disc, and the blade holder assembly. And full disclosure, when I received this lawnmower, this bearing wasn't even here. I'll be honest with you, nothing was there. It was all missing, and the previous owner stated that the blade fell off while he was mowing, and that's how we got here. So I'll leave that up to you. So first off, let's look at the drive disc. So basically with the drive disc, what you're looking for is any kind of discoloration or overheating or excessive wear. This one seems to be fine. Clutch spring, pretty simple mechanism. The only thing Honda recommends checking is the height. So you're going to want to set it down on level ground. So once you have your clutch spring on a nice flat level surface, Honda's going to recommend a height of 6.8 millimeters. So simply set your caliper to around 6.8, stand her up tall, and she looks good. Anything below that, they recommend replacing the clutch spring. And last thing is the driven disc. Now keep in mind, this is no different than the brake pad on your car. It operates the same way. Basically, the only thing you need to clean this off with is a dry shop towel. Honda does not recommend using parts cleaner, oil, or any petroleum-based product when cleaning this. Simply wipe it off and get all the dirt and debris off. If it is contaminated, Honda recommends discarding it and replacing it with a new one. Like I said earlier, when I received this lawnmower, the previous owner said that he was mowing the yard and the blade fell off. Well, this is why you inspect stuff like this. This is the old one. As you can see, it's got a nice little ring on it where it's been worn out. Plus, if you look closely, there's a chunk missing out of the one of the pucks or one of the blocks. I don't know what happened. Something hit it, causing it to break, and plus the bottom of it was really worn out. Now this might not be your problem, but this is just an example of what I found on this particular lawnmower, and that's why we replaced it. All right, so there's only one last thing to inspect, and that's the brake assembly. Now, I'll give you two options. You could either A, give it the old ocular pat down and just make sure she looks okay, or B, you could go through the trouble of taking this thing off and taking it apart and busting your knuckles fighting this spring and busting your knuckles fighting this cable, taking it apart, the ball bearings fall out everywhere. It's just all around a bad time. So basically, the brake assembly is pretty simple. There's not much wear to it like the other components on the Roto-Stop system. Honestly, I don't recommend taking off the brake assembly. Just make sure that she is rotating back and forth smoothly, there's no hiccups, and you should be fine. The only reason I'd recommend taking off the brake assembly is if you want to replace the belt. You already have everything apart, you're already here, you're in the job, go ahead and replace it. Save everybody some time. All right, so that was a quick rundown on how to inspect the Roto-Stop system on a Honda HRR lawnmower. Now, I know we didn't repair anything or fix anything today, but we did get a better understanding on how the system works, and hopefully you're one step closer to tackling your own problem if you have any issues with the Roto-Stop system. Now, like I mentioned earlier, the previous owner said that he was using the lawnmower and the blades fell off. I'm not gonna judge, we're not gonna go there. But if you find yourself in the same situation, you have a couple options. You could either A, replace the blade holder assembly, the entire assembly. Comes with the bearing pressed in. You could find this on Amazon or eBay for about 40 bucks. Or you could B, replace just the $8 bearing, which you could find on Amazon. It's up to you. Little pro tip, when we replace this, you do not need a press to get this bearing in or out. Just find a socket big enough to support the outer race and hit it with the hammer. Pretty simple. Like always, guys, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate the views. If you have any questions or have any questions on how the system works, I'm here to help. Just leave a comment in the section below. Thanks.